name's Nathan. I'm here with Dave.
Hello.
David, God of War.
That's what they call me.
And also this game, which I've been playing.
Yes, Nathan, I'm very aware of that.
Shortly to be released. We're going to have a few videos coming up over the next few days. This one is 11 things we wish we'd known before we'd started.
Yeah, just trying to take away some of those questions you might not even have realised that you had.
Yeah, I think when you go into a big game, and the key reason for doing this is that God of War is very different to the old God of Wars, similar in many ways, different in lots of ways, mostly structural. So this isn't going to be kind of big spoilers or anything.
No.
This is going to be more like how the world works, so you can kind of chill out and kind of enjoy going through it in the first place, and also a bit mostly about upgrading, crafting and customization.
Yes, so what's the first thing?
First thing is about the world itself.
Okay.
Which I know that you and I, when we were playing the game and looking at it in the build-up, we were wondering, we know the game is very big. Cory Barlog said at PSX, 25 hours long.
Yeah.
Everyone went crazy. And if you do all the additional stuff, it's double that.
Yeah.
It's a huge game. Is it open world?
Yes, is it?
Is your question.
Yes,
and my
please.
answer is, it's kind of open world.
Okay.
So it's definitely not linear like the previous God of War games.
Yeah.
I'm just going to spin this camera around. It is a hub world.
Yes.
And here we are in Midgard.
Nice.
Midgard is kind of dominated by this lake. You can travel around to the shores to find things, which we'll talk about in a minute. And in the middle, there is a hub which takes you to the realms, which are mostly your progression through the game. So that will take you to a completely different map.
Right, got you.
So this is Midgard, and it's pretty sizable itself. And you can travel freely from one to the other. And the thing I wish I'd known is how this worked, in order that when I was going through the game in the first place and I saw areas I couldn't get to, in previous God of Wars, I'd be like, that's a puzzle. I want to get that chest.
Yeah.
I want to get my eye or my feather.
Yeah. This is my only chance to get that thing.
Yeah. Now you can not only, if you just can't figure out the puzzle and it is a puzzle, you can just crack on and then come back to it. But also it might be that the area is gated by the kind of Metroidvania style abilities which you're going to pick up in the game.
Yeah, sure.
And then you're going to be able to come back with like the ability to make bridges or blow stuff up or, you know.
So the big takeaway is just you can come back to this place at any time. So enjoy it.
Yeah.
You don't have to rush through. You don't have to collect everything first time.
No.
Or whatever. You can, and in fact, you probably will be coming back.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, you will, and you'll probably drop into it. And part of the reason you'll be coming back is my kind of point number 2. One of the other things I kind of wish I'd clocked early on is the goals. Okay.
Right. Okay.
And by this I mean the activities within the world, and specifically, if we go to the menu screen, there is a section called Goals.
Yeah.
Which is like your mission section, and it's with the way, because I was in my God of War mind, I was thinking just linear path, just do all the stuff.
Critical path.
The journey is that path. Okay, and this is what you're gonna. I'm not gonna go down on here. Actually, I'm gonna move over. But the journey, those hand symbols over there, that is the main journey that Atreus and Kratos are on. Everyone knows how those missions work.
Yeah.
What I didn't realise, maybe because they're called favours, like just in terms of working out what the other activities were in the game, favours over here are basically side quests.
Yeah.
And those come when you explore additional areas. Some of them are on the main path, but you don't have to do any of them. But they are your side missions that will take you to other places, and they will encourage you to explore the world.
Yeah, and I guess then they are favours for characters that you meet.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
And so, like, doing those two, knowing the difference will, if you want to crack on in terms of progression, you can go through the story missions of the journey. If you want to explore a little bit and get a bit more powerful, find some more resources, do some favours.
So favours completely optional, but good for earning XP and other nice things.
Yeah.
What kind of scope are they? Are they?
That's the thing, and that is the other thing I kind of wish I'd known. Don't think you're just going to be doing stupid fetch quests.
Right.
Like, the first thing I did took me to an area which was actually I was doing one favour,
right.
And this is the thing that happens in terms of discoverability.
Yeah.
I went to an area of Midgard because I was doing one favour, another favour kind of popped up,
Yeah.
and there was an enormous beast, and I was like, this is why it was confusing.
Yeah.
Like, this is still a side quest,
Yeah.
and it was.
So
just a very good one.
The point being, like, they are completely optional.
Yeah.
But
Option
you might want to do them because there's
Yeah.
really cool stuff. It's not, like you say,
Very
it's not
cool.
just like go and fetch 6 feathers.
It isn't, yeah.
It's
and actually, if we move along here, look, there are labours which are more like challenges,
Right, okay.
which you might normally, it isn't just like find all the Jotnar shrines,
Yeah.
which is something you'll just do if you're exploring.
Yes.
But that's on top. No, the favours are proper structured missions.
Right.
Lots of very good content there. There's also treasure maps which work. They're actually quite hefty rewards. It's got a little location there and then clues how to get there.
I love that kind of gameplay challenge. That's pretty cool.
And artifacts, which are just collectibles you'll pick up, and Atreus will fill them out in this journal and explain what they are. Okay, goals then.
Done.
Keep an eye on what you're doing, understand the difference, and that will help shape your. Be aware that you're shaping your own experience by choosing what you're doing.
Yes.
Currencies and material. I'm just going to. This is getting into the whole big area of. I'm just going to set a waypoint here so I can kind of illustrate this better. So this is actually our first look at the map. This is just Midgard, remember, and there's lots of it I still haven't uncovered. It kind of goes all the way down here. We are just going to go to a smith here. The currencies that you can use. This is kind of the first point about talking about the upgrade and customization systems.
Yeah.
Very generally, just keep in mind, I didn't realise for a while that there is hack silver, which is kind of like your money.
Yeah.
You find that everywhere. You find that in small chests. You'll roll over, urns, and you'll find some. It's on dead bodies. And there's also XP is basically a currency.
Okay, yeah, sure.
And so when you come to start upgrading Kratos and customizing your different abilities and gear, just bear in mind, that those are two different systems that they kind of stand separately. Basically, XP is for upgrading and unlocking skills and abilities.
Yeah.
And hack silver is used for crafting and upgrading gear along with some other materials.
Okay, that seems simple enough.
I think this is some hack silver, just to illustrate that point. Yeah, it is.
Nice.
The other thing you should do when you start getting into customization, pop into the shop, and before you do anything else, I wish I'd taken greater look at the stats.
Okay.
Sounds obvious, because obviously this is kind of an RPG game at this point.
Yeah.
Coming from a God of War background, I kind of thought, I just didn't really think about it.
Yeah.
And obviously I know what these things, I can guess, mostly what these things do, because they're pretty typical: strength, defense, vitality. Everyone who played an RPG will know what they do.
Yeah.
Click on R3 just to take a look. There are some specifics that you should just bear these in mind. Have a quick read of them. For example, runic attacks. Turns out that they have that in learning the combat for a couple of hours, I use runic attacks a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe more than other people might do if they want to concentrate on other areas of combat. So I have tried to up that in the gear that I'm using.
Yeah.
And I will talk a bit more about how to change these stats in a second. But
I guess the point is that you often just expect these bars to go up as you play, and they probably will, but it's going to be to your advantage to know that you can affect those bars.
Absolutely.
And you should, after having played for a little while and figuring out how you want to play, you should figure out which bars are important to you and work on making those go up, and worry less about making the others go up. Exactly.
Okay. And so my number one thing with armor and crafting, this is that I wish I had known, is just spend the money. Right. I think both of us are probably guilty at different points. I get paralyzed when I'm in these games of so if you go, so very early on you get to craft some new chest armor, right? It's these options down here at the bottom. And I was like, shall I bother doing it? Because very soon I actually found a Defender's Cuirass, and I was like, oh man, well, if I'm just going to be finding these better things all the time, then I don't want to upgrade my lower rank stuff. In terms of how you get hack silver and materials, you can relax and just upgrade as you go and give yourself a more level progression. I think you'll probably enjoy the game more. Certainly it's fine to experiment. I was tentative about it. I basically did it in order to know whether I should or shouldn't. And it turned out it was fine.
So I love that as just a heading. Just spend your money. You have it, spend it on things. You won't regret it.
Exactly.
There's also, I see that there's a selling back option as well. So I guess you can, always going to be, if you found yourself needing some hack
materials
silver.
Are harder to come by, but in terms of hack silver, you're going to be getting it back. Just to double down on the point about stats very quickly, you're going to see that as I go through the different armor that's available to Kratos, my stats are changing. So this is your first choice as to how you want to shape him. And it just gives you that indicator on the right hand side very quickly of you're going to lose strength, you're going to gain defense. With the big numbers.
Whilst we're here, it is worth pointing out that you can swap armor once it's crafted and you own it. You can swap armor on the fly, right? So you might have something that's really good against a certain element, and if you're up against that kind of
in a different realm or different set of enemies,
then you might want to put that on, and vice versa.
100%. And I guess so. Having looked at gear really quickly, I'm just going to come out of the Smith menu, and then so that's spending hack silver. Do spend hack silver. Equally, I would say do spend XP on your skills.
Right.
this is none of these skills will replace another one.
Yes.
There are options for swapping out moves. We'll come to that in a second. But basically, nothing you buy, you're not making any choices here, really.
Yeah.
In terms of, you're not going to buy something which replaces something else you spent money on. The only thing here is really to keep an eye on specialization. So the skills are basically, they're based on 3 bits of equipment. Your axe, your shield, and Atreus' bow.
Yeah.
And the reason that a lot of these they've got exclamation marks on because they're new is because these unlock in tiers which are connected to the level of that equipment.
Okay, sure.
And you don't need to worry too much about the level of the equipment because you can see the ones down there for level 5 are gated.
Yeah.
But if I go back into the Smith menu here, you can see that this is the most kind of the game is simply telling you can have a better bit of equipment.
Yeah.
It's more like that than anything. Everything else is quite open to customization, and if you just go and explore a lot, you'll find materials. Here, they've basically just gone, if I just move over to the Leviathan Axe, you only need one thing to upgrade it.
Yeah.
The game drops it every time it wants you to unlock a new set of skills, basically.
Yeah, sure.
So I've got one more Frozen Flame to get, then I can unlock all those skills. So come back into the skills menu. The only thing you need to be aware of is, obviously, different abilities are going to suit your playstyle more than others. There's a nice preview window. I have concentrated on close combat rather than there's a whole kind of line of range that I haven't touched because I always used to really, really enjoy the kind of close combat combo stuff from the old God of War games, and this is the most like it. So basically, spend your money.
Yeah.
Spend it on the armor, spend it in here.
Yeah.
You can also upgrade all of your armor separately.
Right, sure.
So once you've bought it, you can also upgrade it.
And it's worth just saying that upgrading the axe is just upgrading its level, so that you're not upgrading individual stats or anything. It's just going from level 4 to level 5, which then unlocks your skills.
It does boost strength.
It boosts things, but you're not making any choice apart from to upgrade it.
In upgrading your weapons, you don't really need to think. Where that comes in, actually, before we move on, I did just want to make the general point about Atreus.
Okay.
I wish I had thought more about leveling him as an attacking force. There he is. Let's have a little look at him. He is part of your combat system in a way which I didn't fully realise until I started playing the game quite a lot.
Yeah.
So you have a direct control to his bow by pressing square.
Yeah.
And you can use that to interrupt attacks. You can use it to stun people, or you can use it to create more damage.
Yeah.
Sometimes he will come in and make he will do more melee attacks. And a lot of that is down to, again, I'm going to go to the Smith menu here. What gear you get him will change his abilities and stats.
Right.
So if we go down to Atreus' armor, he only gets 1 slot. So it's not an overly complicated system. But just look at the different kind of abilities and perks that you get here. Enemies take increased air damage, or when rapid firing, the last arrow inflicts increased damage.
Yeah.
So that's really using him as like a DPS dealer, a damage dealer. Down here, you can increase the stun damage.
Yeah.
Stun damage is kind of a tactical way of, because sometimes enemies' health will go down slowly, but you can stun them and then execute them, get rid of them quicker. So you can spec Atreus. One example, you can spec Atreus to stun rather than kill, and pay attention to him and don't ignore him.
Yes, whilst I guess there's kind of a temptation to think of him as separate, and as in he is a separate character, and you do still have control of his bow in that way. Yeah. But you've got to think about how he works in tandem with Kratos. How do you like to fight with Kratos?
He's an integral part of the combat.
And then you use Atreus to enhance that. So, like you say, if you like close combat, maybe he might be stunning them, and so that you can get in close or whatever.
See, I think I was spending more of my money on Kratos than on Atreus, and at some point I needed to catch up. So just bear that in mind. The other things, which kind of sit in the middle of gear and weapons, are runes and sockets.
Okay.
I didn't really understand what they were. This is the kind of the one level up, one level deeper in the customization system, and it was a point at which I was confused for a while.
Yeah.
Runes are found on your weapons, and there's 2 of them.
Yep.
There's a light one. You get different options. It slots right into your axe. There's 2 rune slots. it gives you a special move.
So you have 2 slots, but you find many runes in the world.
You basically have a menu of special moves.
Yeah.
And you slot one into light and one into heavy. Currently, I've got Nord's Tempest that here on the video up there swishes around, kills people. That's my light. My heavy, I've got fewer options here. That looks, that's very Kratos.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So that's Frost Giant's Frenzy. You pick these up as you defeat enemies and progress through the story. You can upgrade them with XP.
Right.
So they're like super skill moves.
Yes.
You fit them in, they give you an extra ability, and then you can upgrade them.
Unlike the skills, though, like we said, you can unplug them and plug a different one in. So you might get a new one that you really like, and then you'll stop using your...
Chances are you'll want to try a few out. And it might be that some are particularly good for certain enemies.
Yeah.
And apart from that, kind of similarly, but for armor... you have sockets, and sockets are basically a way of putting extra perks and really changing your stat base. So if we look at, actually I want to come out, it's in my menu. If I go to armor, these is Kratos' 3 armor pieces there, those kind of diamonds. If I press square to go to sockets, 1 socket slot, and these are all the different enchantments that I can put in the socket.
Yeah.
If I just go up and down, you'll see that currently the perk it's given me is sprinting for 3 seconds, grants unstoppable aura, preventing interruptions by enemy attacks, which means that I can sprint at people, do an attack, and even if they attack me, I won't get stunned or go backwards. I like that perk. But also, it will affect your base stats. So if you look over to the right as I go down, it's only little effects.
Yeah.
But they do. If you're using 3 slots, then it does stack up.
Yes.
And it's worth paying attention to.
Yeah, good point.
And these will genuinely affect the way that, certainly with runic and strength, that like how quickly you're killing people.
Yeah.
So worth paying attention to. So that is kind of an overview of the upgrade system and the things that I wish I'd known about it. And the one thing I think it's worth saying is that you can quick save.
Oh, that's good.
And you can have multiple saves.
Right, so you can just save at any time. Yeah,
I'm going to save now. Actually, I've used up all my save slots, but I will still... Am I going to save over that one? I'll save over one from earlier on. I'm just going to save here. And so there aren't unlimited saves, but what it does mean is that if I want to try out a playstyle, go into a boss fight, turns out it's wrong, what I'm saying is I guess I just played... the Tomb Raider game, the reboot, just happened to be the game I played last. That had 3 game slots in, but or Dark Souls, many games which are similarly structured to this have fewer options to kind of manually say, I'm putting a pin in the ground here.
Yeah.
So similar to kind of go and spend your money and relax about the world, save your game, try a new set of abilities and go into some combat that might get you killed.
Yeah.
And then if you need to, just go back to your save game.
I just like the peace of mind of saving. I just like to know I've saved, my progression has been saved.
Yeah.
In several ways. Like, great.
Exactly.
It's not just done behind the scenes. I like it when it's done behind the scenes, but I like to have the option of knowing that I've done it
kind of
myself.
Assumed it was all contiguous. And that I wasn't going to be able to kind of break into it and have my own little option files there. But I am. I've got a very quick thing about enemies, which I'm going to go this way. We're actually in a favour area. Did I mention that? No. This is a whole side quest area.
Okay.
And it's actually an area I've completed. And then on the way out of doing the quest, I found this big creature that we're about to kind of... I might fight a little bit, but he's quite hard. And he drops really good materials. That's the only reason I want him dead.
Right.
He's an ancient. Look, he's actually quite nice.
He looks ancient.
Yeah, so I don't have to...
He's not aggressive.
No, I don't have to fight him. But one of the things I just wanted to make the point was... two things about enemies is that they don't scale. So it's not like as you get stronger...
They get equally stronger.
Yeah,
it's not like that.
There are simply enemies that are going to be tough and you might need to come back to.
Yeah.
And also there's a bestiary in your codex, which is genuinely useful for having tips. So this is Draugr. We'll stay on Draugr so we don't give away any spoilers. But you can see at the top there's a bit of info, and then there's 2 hints. which just basically tell you how to fight them.
Yeah.
And they are, if you are struggling, and there's an enemy called a nightmare. I won't describe what it does.
Yeah.
But it's quite hard. And the tip for that, I was like, oh, thank you for writing that down for me, Atreus. That's actually very handy.
Yeah.
That's very good. And the other thing, we're over back by the smith now. The other thing that I wanted to impress upon people is if you buy one thing in the game, buy a resurrection stone. I've got one. Excellent. And a resurrection stone, it does exactly what it says on the tin. When you die in combat, it will bring you back to life.
Right. So rather than having to go back to a checkpoint, it's like a one-shot kind of.
Yes.
You can carry on with this battle. And
I think it's a fine one to balance, but in classic God of War, obviously, you could be so close to killing a boss that you've been trying for a long time and then die. And now it just gives you that little kind of option.
Nate, if you're going to take on this ancient, I'll tell you right now, I don't want to see that resurrection stone.
Well, I'm doing it in order that I can show you the resurrection.
But I want to see a dead ancient.
Well,
I'd hate for you to not show me that.
What's he
what
doing?
Is he doing?
He's gone on all fours and he's doing me a frighten.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've talked a lot about combat and skills, and so I'm looking forward to seeing them put all together now.
I wish that there were smaller enemies to fight, because this guy is like hide behind a tree and don't get hit.
I was going to say, like, I didn't see the Kratos' hiding stat.
Oh, mate.
Or rolling.
My personal hiding
His rolling stat
is high. I picked that up and I need to throw it into his chest and it should explode. I don't know if it has or not.
It's good to see. It's good to see some combat. It's good to, there's a lot. The big thing that the big, very obvious change to people who've played God of War before, obviously, is that the camera's over the shoulder now, and I like that they the thought that they've put into
so much fun.
Combat and what it means for combat, and so you can lock on to enemies. You get indicators when enemies aren't in your kind of like sphere of vision. That we're definitely going to see that resurrection stone. Just like now, you can see that you're being targeted. I think it goes a different colour when there's a projectile headed your way. There's some smaller enemies for you.
Okay, looks like
perfect.
There's Atreus that he's going to use his rune ability.
That is cool.
Which is like a big fox. He's actually shot it at someone I didn't want him to shoot it at. Oh no, you've got to run away here. That's the range combat we haven't talked about. I mean, there's like obvious stuff really. Here's a bit of rune for you. This is my runic combat. Oh no, it's not. I've been absolutely lasered. If I press square now, this is the resurrection.
Right, got it.
Giving me an extra chance.
Clear.
Yeah, exactly. This is my heavy runic attack because this is a very bad man. I'm about to get hit from behind.
Looks like it.
Yeah, I should have done better than that.
Have you got another resurrection?
I'm going to use my no. I'm going to use my. You can only hold one at a time. Is there another bad guy here?
He's full of rage. Don't think so.
Can I actually hurt him? So I can't hurt him. Is the thing.
That seems like a problem. Oh, there is another guy.
This video's going to end with me dying. Is that okay?
We always knew. It's what the people want.
The people are going to see me melt. In fact, I'm just going to embrace it. Embrace death. So look, that's our video. Look, 11 things that we wish you'd known before we started God of War. Just to try and take some pain out of learning this enormous, new, and so far brilliant game.
There's just some things that you have anxiety about, isn't there? Like just knowing you can save all the time, or just knowing to spend your money. These are the big things I've taken away. Knowing that you can come back to areas once you've left them.
In games,
don't worry.
Man, in games, if they tell me more than 3 things at once, then I get hot in the head.
Yeah.
I get confused.
PlayStation.
Like and share if you enjoy the video and think others might benefit from this, and of course subscribe and hit the notification button if you are new to the channel and want to be notified every time I post a video.